Hey there, welcome to GoodTalkHQ. My name is Geoffrey. A huge thank you to JP for having me come on his channel to share my picks for the 10 best indie games of 2022 so far. This year has been packed with a whole bunch of incredible experiences, and these 10 are ones that absolutely deserve your time and attention. The games won't be listed in any particular order, but are meant to just be a showcase of indie games to check out if you haven't yet done so. Be sure to let us know in the comment section which of these you have played and which 2022 indie games have been your favorites. With all that being said, let's hop into the list. Tinykin is a masterfully crafted 3D adventure platforming game starring Milo, a tiny space explorer who just so happens to find himself on Earth, inside a mysterious and gargantuan house, with each room acting as its own self-contained playground stage. Now it's up to Milo to find specific components to build a special rocket ship to make it back home to his planet of Aegis. Tinykin, if you can't already tell from the game's name, is a play on the Pikmin-style experience. However, it does so much to set itself apart, this time around focusing more on platforming and exploration rather than outright management or even puzzle solving. I jumped into this game not expecting too much from the gameplay, but very quickly became blown away by the sheer gameplay polish and enjoyment that comes from moving Milo around, and, more importantly, using the various colorful and adorable Tinykin characters to solve the game's many platforming quandaries. Each of the game's stages is a free-form playground area, where you do have an ultimate objective of finding the main MacGuffin, but how you get from point A to point B is ultimately up to you. Each of the colored Tinykin have their own traits. For example, the green ones build ladders, the blue ones link electricity, and the pink ones move heavier objects. The Tinykin are so easy to use and control, and I absolutely love jumping around as Milo, finding new ways to traverse the intricately designed stages with the various Tinykin. Oh, and even skateboarding around with a bar of soap, because why not? This game is just pure distilled fun and shouldn't be missed. Despite looking like a playful, cartoony, family-friendly game, make no mistake about it, Cult of the Lamb is brimming with dark themes and occult references, and often isn't a game for the faint of heart. As a huge fan of the developer's previous game, The Adventure Pals, my excitement for Cult of the Lamb was pretty darn high. Fortunately, for the most part, it lived up to the potential, even if some repetition and grindiness, is that even a word, grindiness, set in towards the endgame. In Cult of the Lamb, you, play as a creepy yet somewhat oddly charming lamb who just so happens to gain some supernatural demonic power and must guide the flock in, yes, you guessed it, a creepy cult. Your ultimate goal in this roguelite town builder game is to defeat the heretics and false prophets to eventually free the big old chained spooky guy who may or may not be there to help you. Cult of the Lamb was such a highlight for me in 2022 because it constantly rewards you and gives you new things to do around every corner. One part of the game sees you moving through randomly generated zones, defeating baddies, obtaining tarot card upgrades, collecting materials, and saving, something I say in quotes since you do eventually indoctrinate them, many anthropomorphic inhabitants. The action in these parts is fast and frenetic, if a bit repetitive. If you get tired of that part, simply head back to your cult, an area that essentially is a customizable playground for you and your flock. You construct all manner of things from beds to gardens to worship statues to outhouses, as well as a host of cosmetic items like ponds and even jack-o'-lanterns. Every action feeds back into upgrading your cult, your followers, your character, and everything in between. Honestly, I loved being able to pick and choose how I played in a given gameplay sit-down, whether that was for 15 minutes or 2 hours. Yes, it's a pretty disturbing game when you think about it, but dang it if Massive Monster didn't create an enticing and rewarding game around each and every spooky corner. Stray, yes, the cat game, likely needs no introduction as it has done the rounds on YouTube and social media, as the sci-fi cat game where, once again, you play as a cat. I definitely said cat one too many times in that sentence, and probably more to come. For brevity's sake, Stray tasks you to play as an adorable feline who must solve a cyberpunk dystopian mystery. Saying much more could spoil things, so I won't be doing that here. Instead, I will just say that even though my wife and I have 2 cats at home, I honestly wasn't overly excited to play this game. However, once I actually sat down to play the game, I was quickly blown away by just how much fun it felt to run and pounce and platform around as our feline friend. Stray is a pretty simplistic game since all you really do is explore, solve light environmental puzzles, and chat with some robot characters, occasionally running away from things that absolutely look like head crabs from Half-Life. But it's the overall experience and sci-fi aesthetic that make this game so darn fun. Oh, and of course, being able to play as a cat. I'm not sure if I mentioned that part yet. Here's hoping this game comes to more platforms one day. However, if you are a PlayStation or PC owner, then you need to scurry your way over to Stray right away. OlliOlli World is such a fun game. It's colorful, vibrant, charming, deep, nuanced, and finely tuned to a T. I could probably just leave the entry at that and move on because more really doesn't need to be said. However, I can't help but gush about this top-notch 2.5D cartoony skateboarding game. As someone who grew up skateboarding and playing skateboarding games ever since, it wasn't a question of whether or not I would play OlliOlli World, but more of a question of if I would like it. Yes, the answer is unequivocally yes, it's amazing. I loved OlliOlli 1 and 2 since they provided arcadey pixel-perfect skateboarding, but the skill ceiling for those first two games is admittedly quite high. Enter OlliOlli World, a more approachable and lighthearted take on the sort of auto-runner-esque skateboarding platforming mashup, if that's even a genre. While the bonkers story is certainly part of the enjoyment, it's the actual moment-to-moment gameplay that hooked me to this game. Moving from stage to stage, learning to combo tricks together to get a high score, while completing main and side objectives is utterly satisfying, and will leave you with that just one more go feeling. Plus, you can customize your skater to your heart's content, making them look as goofy, in my case, or as fashionable as you would see fit. Even if you don't fancy skateboarding games in general, definitely give OlliOlli a whirl when you get a chance. Do you remember playing the classic TMNT arcade game from way back in the days? Well, if you answered yes to that question, or even if you haven't, then playing TMNT Shredder's Revenge should be a no-brainer. Shredder's Revenge is a lovingly crafted throwback to the radical Turtles games of old. An utterly polished and fluid beat-em-up brawler arcade game, Shredder's Revenge blends new and old into a near-perfect package, even if the game itself isn't all that long. As someone who also enjoyed playing Streets of Rage 4, I was optimistic that this new adventure in the TMNT universe would be fun. And my oh my, it is definitely fun. While it's clear that the devs intend this to be a game to play locally or online with other players, even for a mostly solo player like myself, I still had an absolute blast, moving from stage to stage, eating pizza, and pummeling the host of baddies and bosses the game throws your way. Plus, the fresh idea of the overworld map helped make this game feel more robust and customizable. If, for some reason, you missed out on Shredder's Revenge, then be sure to remedy that right away. Rogue Legacy 2 is a highly engaging roguelite game that both fans of the original game and newcomers to the series will absolutely love. I really only played the first Rogue Legacy game, I can't even say the name. Only really played the first Rogue Legacy game briefly for one reason or another, never putting the time into it that it deserves. Fortunately, Rogue Legacy 2 has come along to provide the thrilling blend of 2D platforming, action combat, random level layouts, and boatloads of upgrades. For the uninitiated, Rogue Legacy 2 is all about diving into an expansive medieval castle, getting as far as you can, ultimately dying, and coming back as the next heir. While the game retains the challenging roguelite stylings many other indie games have, I love the creativity of this in Rogue Legacy 2, where your next character is an heir to the previous one that just died. Now, it sounds simple in premise, but it actually makes for a compelling narrative reason to keep going just one more time. What makes this game stand out to me is how you are constantly getting a tad bit stronger through upgrading your own castle back at home. Each time you upgrade a certain ability or skill, it opens up new gameplay options or vendors in your hub area. Plus, each new heir is essentially, or can be, a new class, from a knight to a mage to an archer to a rogue and even a chef, for reasons? The game keeps you hooked by dangling a new reward or upgrade in front of you at all times. Plus, I mean, come on, the cartoon art style and presentation is downright stunning here. Do yourself a favor and play this game. The second Devolver digital game on this list, Card Shark, might just be the most unique game on this entire list, and I don't just mean in terms of its painting-like art style and sublime classical music. On the surface, Card Shark might just look and sound like another run-of-the-mill card game. However, that couldn't be further from the truth, given that the game is actually all about card tricks and deception. Now, I remember trying the Switch demo of this game and falling in love with the sheer artistry and creativity this game offers. Taking place in 18th century Europe, your character must journey along with a band of card trick deception misfits in hopes of mastering the craft to swindle others out of their coin. Card Shark is such a special game because of the way it utilizes the various card tricks and deception mechanics. As the lead misfit, Comte de Saint-Germain plays various card games, your character must act as the waiter who serves wine, cleans the table, and the like. However, it's during these moments that you are actually studying the opponent's hand. In order to communicate these things, you will wipe the table a certain direction, as an example. As the game moves on, you become the one to play others and must put into practice the tricks you have learned. To be fair, it's a tough and often impenetrable game to get to grips with, but when it does all come together, there really isn't another game like it in the indie scene. Okay, it's not hyperbole to say that Submerged Hidden Depths might just be one of my favorite games of all time, not just in the indie scene. Okay, stick with me here since I know that's a pretty big claim to make. Submerged Hidden Depths is the follow-up to the unique yet somewhat middling game Submerged, a game that had two siblings explore a flooded city. Now, I never did play the first game, but my goodness, I am so glad that I have experienced Hidden Depths. On top of the outstanding and gorgeous visuals, auditory design, water graphics, and just sheer artistry, it's the sublime and melancholic gameplay that steals the show here. You, once again, play as two siblings who share a special bond, one that revolves around light and darkness. Now, I won't say much more than that because the light story at play here is brimming with emotion and connections, not just to other humans, but to the spirit world, to animals, and to the earth in general. In Submerged Hidden Depths, you guide our siblings through yet another flooded city, a world ravaged by darkness and water. However, the beauty always finds a way through. Eschewing combat and traditional action-adventure gameplay, this game is all about exploration and platforming. Your goal is to explore each and every location to heal the areas of the rotten darkness that consume it. It's hard to put into word just how this game feels to play, but the spot-on controls and movement both on foot and in your customizable boat is simply delightful. I thoroughly enjoyed finding new locations, both small and large, and taking my times navigating their tricky, dilapidated, yet oddly beautiful surroundings. Plus, there are plenty of items to collect to flesh out the experience and lore. Please play this game if you haven't to sail, buy it the first time. I tried to make a joke there, didn't work out, but I tried to do it anyway. You won't regret trying this game. 3D platforming fans rejoice because Kao the Kangaroo is a downright enjoyable and playful game that shouldn't be missed by genre fans. Many people actually don't realize that this game is a complete rehaul and reimagining of the Sega Dreamcast version from over 2 decades ago, because yes, I'm that old. Kao the Kangaroo, if the name doesn't give it away, stars Kao, a quirky and confident kangaroo who must figure out why his father disappeared. Now, this simple setup is enough to pull you through the stunning worlds and stages, or at least it was for me. Kao the Kangaroo is a true love letter to all things 3D platforming, and it succeeds with aplomb. Even with some of the issues at launch, the game surpassed many genre fans' expectations, mine included. I adored guiding Kao through a host of creative and well-designed stages, with each one providing new platforming and puzzle obstacles, baddies to pummel, and items to collect. And this isn't a short game by any means. This is a meaty platforming game that seeks to keep you enticed with fun yet simple mechanics. From special elemental boxing glove power-ups, to new ways to platform, to the way that you can even dress up Kao, the game just oozes style and charm. Now, I played through this game with my wife, as we do with most platforming games that come out, and we simply couldn't wait to just get to know each stage to see what challenges the game would throw our way. Cartoony 3D platformers really did well with getting Kao the Kangaroo in their lineup. If you fancy yourself an engaging Zelda-like indie adventure, then Blossom Tales 2: The Minotaur Prince deserves your attention. This is one of the most recent games on this list, but absolutely earns a spot here given its polish, creativity, and sheer fun factor. And that's coming from someone who never even played the first Blossom Tale game. Another game I recently played through with my wife, The Minotaur Prince, is a fun storybook fantasy game taking place from a top-down perspective. In this charming and poignant tale, Lily must overcome all the odds to save her brother from the menacing Minotaur Prince. However, everything is told from the perspective of their grandpa, which means there are plenty of fourth wall breaking moments filled with laughter and brevity, just like this one, because I kept saying Minotaur Prince, but you're actually facing the Minotaur King. The Prince, well, you'll learn if you play the game. Anyone that has played a top-down Zelda game will feel right at home here in this game. It's hard not to compare the two considering their similarities when it comes to the open world design, needing certain items to complete certain tasks, delving into harrowing dungeons, and even using hearts as the health system. I loved how this game encourages you to explore, find secrets, and reveal itself in new, surprising, and often hilarious ways. Around every corner is a new item to find or tool to pick up. With side quests and mini games aplenty, the Minotaur Prince is pure adventure game fun. Immediately wrapping up this game in around 12 hours, I purchased the first game on sale on the Nintendo Switch eShop so we can dive into Lily's first outing. And there we have it, 10 of the very best indie games to release in 2022 so far. Here's hoping many more top-notch indie games release throughout the rest of the year, but each one of these deserves a spot in your indie gaming library. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out this video from GoodTalkHQ, and once again, a massive thank you to JP for having me on his channel to share this fun video with all of you. Please do let me know in the comments, and let us know in the comments which of these games you have played and which ones you'll be picking up, and what are some of your favorite indie games of 2022 so far. We would love to hear from you down in the comments. But that's going to do it for now. I hope you all have a truly wonderful and happy day. Take care. Bye-bye.